First of all, hi everybody. Welcome to the second webinar of the series Small Group Coaching with Warix. And well, most of you already do know me, but I see there is somebody that still don't. So I'm Lorenzo. I'm head of the customer success at Warix, and let's say I'm a sort of go-to guy for you for whatever doubts or whatever question you may have about the platform. And my goal as a customer success manager is, as the word says, is to make you successful in using the software. So don't hesitate to get in touch if you have whatever doubt or need that prevent you to successfully use the dashboard for your customer. This can be either in the commercial side or in the technical side or in using the platform itself. So last time I was sick, so I couldn't host the webinar myself. But from now on, hopefully, I will be the one that will host the webinar to come. I know Antonio did a great job in replacing me, and he guided you through to the first part, so basically the homepage of the dashboard. I will go on by explaining you how the breakdown tab and how the raw data tab works, together with some example on some tools that can make it the use of these tools more profitable for you. So I will share my screen, and now everybody should be able to see the homepage of my dashboard. And so, okay, we can start. So the breakdown tab is a tool that you can access by going to by clicking on this icon on the top of the dashboard tab in your Warix platform. Okay, so here is how it looks like. This is the first of the monitoring tools in your dashboard, and it's the one that people use the most among our customers. On the left-hand side, you will see the list of all your monitored points, which is organized in a way that we call the menu tree. So the menu tree consists in four different levels. The first one is called the organization level. The second is called the site level. Then there is the meter level, and in case there could be also a sub-meter level. So let's pick, for example, the food corp. Here, as you can see, this meter has some sub-meters inside. This can either mean that the meter is hosting data itself, so is getting data from a physical meter that has been put in place, or that is a virtual meter that basically just acts as a folder. So the results that you see printed in these trends is the aggregation of the results that are taken from the meters in the level below the one that we selected. In the middle, we can find the graph tab, so where our trends will be printed. And by acting with these icons, by using these icons in the control panel, we can edit the kind of dashboard that we are printing in the center. So in this case, here is the default view, so it's called the column chart. We can go to the pie chart, which is particularly effective if we are using, like in this case, if you have selected an entity which has some sub-entities, so some meters pushing data on a lower level. But we can also go for the spline chart, which is this one is better. For example, if we want to compare to graphs, to trends to one another. And then we have the stack chart, which basically puts the consumption, the trends on top of each other to see how the aggregated result is generated. Okay, so another interesting thing we can do here, another interesting information we can print in the trend side, together with the graph of the monitor point that we selected, is information about the weather condition. So here, for example, if I click on one of these two buttons, I can print on the graph information about the mean average temperature for that site in a given day. How do we infer this information? Is that once you create a site, you are forced to add the information about the address of that site. And using those information, we can get data from the closest weather station, and we can have, for example, here the average temperature for the day printed, both in Celsius degrees or in Fahrenheit, depending on your needs and which is the one that best suits your needs. Or we can also have degree days information. So we can create a single value point to print in the graph information about degree days points. If this is something of interest for you, I would recommend watching this video, which is a tutorial that Antonio made that I'm sharing with you in the chat of the webinar. And that video is important because it provides all the information that you need to know about why would it be interesting for you to upload degree days, how degree day point works, how do we infer that, do we take data from those weather stations, and how can you set up a point to automatically create this degree days points into your dashboard. Okay, so now here on the right hand side, let's go on with showing you what can you do by acting to the control panel. So here, if you have tariffs set up for the site in which your meter is the selected meter is, you can choose to display values in terms not only of energy but also in terms of costs. And this is true for all the kind of graphs that we can host in the middle in our trend part. Then there is this control panel, this dashboard that you can use to refine the time frame that you're using for displaying your data. You can go both for editing this thing manually, or you can select the area that is particularly interesting for you, and you can check the trends in this different way. You can edit the time frame in this way. Another thing we can do that we recently implemented is that now you can change the granularity manually. So the frequency in which the data are displayed in the dashboard. So here, for example, we have a monthly view. We can choose to have data display once per day or on an hourly basis. So basically, this is, I mean, you can work with the granularity that best suits your needs, depending on the things on the parameters that you want to be expected. Here you can edit the time frame by selecting a specific date for start and ending of the time frame that you wanna be monitored. And another thing that can be of interest for you here is that not only you can compare one meter to another, so by selecting both and having them displayed simultaneously, but you can also compare the meter to itself. So for example, here we can choose to have this effluent area meter that we selected compared to itself into 2 different months of the year. So let's pick, for example, February and March 2018, and here we can infer information on, for example, if we let's go for April because that's way too similar. Okay, because maybe here in March we implemented an energy conservation measure that is supposed to be delivering some results in terms of reducing the energy consumption in April rather than the one that we had in February. And so here, this is a tool that allows us to have a quick view on how the thing changed in a month's time. Okay, so now there is another thing that I wanted to show you, and is the division of a consumption by a KPI. So to do so, I would use a test site that I have that I use for the sake of my customer success meeting. As you can see here, there is already a test KPI point and an electrical point. So here is I uploaded just 1 day worth of data in order to make things simpler when uploading the data. Okay, we can think of this as the energy consumption of don't know, whatever kind of firm, of company that we have. Let's think, for example, at a food processing company. So here, what can we be interested in doing is, for example, divide the consumption hour by hour via a KPI that we may have uploaded. So, for example, the amount of food that we processed hour by hour in that given plant. And we want to do so because by checking the consumption per kilogram of processed food, then we can have a clue on the inefficiencies that may have taken place, and find out when they were, and so how they got created. To do so, it's important to have the KPI data uploaded in the dashboard. So what I will do is to upload another KPI, and that will have the information that I need about the amount of food processed hour by hour. So this is the interface that we use for manual upload of CSV files. And what we need to tell the system here is, well, apart from information about the user that is creating the data, we need to provide information for the system to build the menu tree in which we want our data to populate. And then we will have to tell the system which is the file that we want to upload, and how to read that file in order to have the information displayed in the correct place. So in this case, I will upload the information myself. So I will just have to put my email address, and we can go to the next step. Here, the system is basically asking me if I want to create a new organization, so an organization that doesn't exist in my dashboard, to host those points. You can create as many organizations and as many sites as you want in your dashboard. They are free of charge, as the price of your subscription will be calculated per point. So in this case, I don't need to create any organization, as I already have my test LC organization, and I can go on with that. Now I need to provide information about a new site in case I want to create a new site. So as we can see here, the information about the address are compulsory, so that we can get the information that we need to set up the points, as I showed you before, for data coming from weather station. In this case, again, I already have a test site in my organization, so I can go to the next point. Now I can choose whether to upload data into an existing meter. So basically, if I want to refresh the data that are already there in the meter that I already created, or if I want to create a new one to associate to my site, to my organization. In this case, I will go for a new one, so I will show you how it looks like. And let's put it to kilogram consumption. Okay, so this is basically let's put output, it makes more sense. So this is basically, let's say, the output in terms of kilogram of the food or whatever that we are processing in this sample organization. Now we can choose the type of reading that we are putting in. In this case, is a KPI, so we will go for a numeric reading, and then we will have to choose the unit to associate the data. In this case, I will go for kilograms, as I put kilogram output. Now, once I click next, I have to choose the CSV file, to select the CSV file where the system will have to get this data from. So I will select a file that I already created, which is a numeric sample. And now, as you can see, I have a few information to add to the system to create the point and to populate the information in the right place. So first of all, I have to choose the CSV file configuration. So our parser needs a header in order to make sure that we can associate the information about timestamp values and eventually cost to the right column. So if in my case there is a header in the CSV file, but in case there wasn't, we can untick this box, and the system will automatically add a header itself, so that then I can tell the system, look, the information about the timestamp can be found in the column 2. In this case, I do have an header, so I will tick the box again. Here I can choose a field delimiter in case the parser is unable to recognize the field delimiter that we chose for our CSV file, and so if it's unable to distinguish between one and the other column. And here we can tell the system where to start in case we had a bunch of lines with no information. And let's say that our the important information that we want to upload start at line 10. In this case, we will put start at line 10. And as you can see here on the bottom, the readings are actually switched to a different line. Then we need to tell the system how to read the dates. So in this case, joined is already good. So if I had the date and timestamp in two different columns, I would have to go for the split visualization. I will keep the joined one as I am already good with this one. And now we need to tell the system the correct date and time format. In this case, I have day, day, month, month, year, year, hour, hour, minute, minute. So I will look for the correct one and I will select it. Now, as I mentioned before, we need to associate every column as information with the correct column. So in case the timestamp information are in the column that we labeled the date and timestamp, the values are in the value column, and the costs are not there. This is information that is not compulsory. I chose not to add them in my CSV file. And now what can we do here is to preview the parsed data so that we can have a clue if the date and time format that we chose was correctly set. That's because if I changed it now and I put the month before the day, it would be unable to tell which month is to associate to 28, and then it will return invalid date. So now I can get back to the right format, and as you can see, the file looks better now. Now I can proceed. I have a checkpoint to make sure that all the information I set are good for me. And as soon as I confirm the creation of the point, the system will start processing my file. And here, as you can see, 45 measurements, it means basically a day worth of data in half an hour with a half an hour granularity. Now that the point has been created, I can go back to the breakdown tab. And here, as you can see, I have a kilogram output CSV file. And what can I do with this kilogram output CSV file is I can select the meter that is showing me information about the energy consumption for that day, and I can divide this information by the kilogram output. So now the graph is completely different than it was before, and the information that is showing me is not anymore the kilowatt hour consumption hour by hour, but the kilowatt hour consumption, per kilogram per hour. So that here I'm sure that I will find some inefficiencies because likely the output of the output was lower, and I didn't adjust my workflow to take into account of the different needs that I had in my that I had to process the amount of food or whatever that I'm processing. Another interesting things that works with exactly the same logic is, for example, if we want to divide consumption for a static quantity, so something that is unlikely to change over time. For example, let's think of this as a shop or as an apartment, and we want to know the energy consumption per square meter of this shop or whatever we want to take into account. We can think of it as the number of room of a hotel, or let's say whatever adjustment that is unlikely to change over time. We can as well divide this consumption for a static adjustment. And in this case, there is no need for you to upload the information again and again and again. So what can you do is you can go for the data in the data tab, click on attributes, and here you will be able, if you select the site, to create new adjustments. Let's let's go, for example, for square meters. So let's think of our meter as a meter connected to the distribution board of let's say a shop, and let's put here surface of the shop. The frequency that we want this data to be uploaded is permanent, actually, because the shop is unlikely to shrink or to increase in this dimension over time. So we can just put a value. Let's put, for example, 70 square meters, okay? And now we can, well, apart from choosing here the settings for making it public or using it for reports, making it public means that every user that will have access to this test site will be able to see this adjustment into his dashboard. And use for report means that once you create an automated report, you can use this KPI for, well, in the creation of, in one of the pages that you can add in your automatic reports, the system basically does the thing that we are doing. So divides automatically the energy consumption by all the KPIs that are listed and are ticked as available for the reports. In this case, I won't tick any of the boxes. And as soon as I save this adjustment, I can go back to my dashboard. Now, there is no point that will populate my test site. So the points that are here are the exact same as they were before. But what can I do now is if I go here and click on divide by, I will have the square meter. So obviously the graph will look exactly the same because all the entries are divided by the same number. But here the information is different because now we don't have the hourly values, but we have the hourly values per square meter, and so we know how was the consumption, the specific consumption from each square meter of my building. So now I would go back to let's select okay, food corp. Okay, now I think I covered all the aspects of the breakdown tab. I see there is a question from Cory, so I will answer it before going on. Does report generation feature include an energy bill generator? Yes, it does. I will show you after I finish the presentation, Cory. I will show you how it works and how can you set up an automatic report to automatically send a bill with all the information that you may need about cost per kilowatt hour, and so on. I see you're asking also if there is any additional cost associated with it. It doesn't. There is no cost. The only thing is that you need to have access to the admin tab. So you need to be on the 50 euro a month plan at least, or in the full branding plan, of course. Okay, so I went through all the topics that I wanted to show you in the breakdown tab, and now I will go on with the raw data one. So the raw data tab is very similar. It looks very similar to the breakdown tab that I just showed you. So on the left-hand side, there is again the list of monitor point. On the right, there is a control panel that is slightly different to the one that I showed you before. And what the difference between these two is pick another for back area, is that well, first of all, you can compare meter to one another. So this is just the graph will display just 1 meter at a time. If you select here, for example, conference area, as you can see, the back area has been selected. Then there is here on the right hand side, you cannot edit the granularity, as it will adjust itself basing on the amount of basing on the width, let's say, of the time frame that we are inspecting. So what can you do here is if you have multi-value points, so points, the meters that are set to push not only data about energy consumption or active power, but also data from other parameters. Here, each of those meters can push up to 21 readings, which means there are seven parameters to inspect that can be displayed both in total view or per phase. So here you will have readings about active power, apparent power, power factor, and so on. And you can choose to have them also in phase by phase. So each information will be about a single phase. And this is particularly interesting. For example, if you're working for with customers that have maybe high consumption, so such as industrial customer in medium tension or something similar, so that they are not only interested in having their eye on the active power, but also in monitoring the power factor, because depending on that on this power factor, they will have a clue on the hidden costs in their utility bill, because having a low power factor can create a lot of reactive power, and so they will have to pay a lot of money for power that they are actually not using. So they're not exploiting this power, but they would have to pay for it. And this tool allows you to have a clue on the quality of the energy you're getting from the network, rather than just the amount of power that you are consuming in your appliances. So I think I covered all the aspects also of the raw data tab now. So if you have any question, I will be happy to answer. And I know I have already gone until 4:30, so I will be available for 5 minutes for you to put question and for me to reply. And then if you will need any help, I will be available via email, or you can book a customer success meeting with me as usual via the link that I forward you, and then that we spammed you in the past using our intercom tool down here. Okay, I see there is a question from Carlos. Okay, he's asking if it's possible to set up a daily output, keep KPI included in attributes, and include the data manually and not as a CSV file. Well, if we go for an upload, if we go for uploading data on a regular basis, we need the system have as a source to get this data from. So for example, here this is something that is possible. So you can create a new adjustment and set it to be daily. And yeah, in principle, what you need to do here is to provide a source for us to get the data, and the CSV is the better way that we have, so that we can set up an FTP upload. But yeah, in principle, it is possible for you to manually upload this adjustment with a daily frequency. Okay, let's see if there is any more question. Okay, so since we are, I don't know if any of you is interested in the electricity, in the energy bill generator that Corey asked me, but since there are no other questions, I will go through it in case some of you may be interested in it, and then I will close this webinar. So in order to set up one of a report, you need to go to the admin tab, select the report definition, and then go to new report definition. The page that Corey asked, that was interested in, is this one, the utility bill. Here is how it looks like, and is basically has the exact same layout of an actual utility bill. And here there are these are called sections So you can add as many sections as you want and as many items per session as you need. So let me show you how it looks like here. Once you click on utility bill, there will appear a bunch of information that you can upload, such as previous balance, information about taxes, comments on the left and on the bottom, that will populate basically this area. This is the left comment and this is the bottom comment part. And then here you can add the custom entries, so the sections here, and as many items as you want, as I mentioned before. You can link the price that you can decide to manually put manually. So for example, 0.78 to kilowatt hours to on peak kilowatt, kVA. Not applicable means that basically is a fixed cost, so once per utility bill. You can choose to have it daily, or you can go for dashboard tariffs, so import data directly from the dashboard, from the tariffs that you set in the dashboard. You can add some headers and footers, and basically that's it. So here you can customize the bill to be sent on a monthly basis regularly to your customers, and you can also add this utility bill, which is something that we developed, I think, for multi-tenant buildings or for small utilities that were running small meter plans. So there are a bunch of use cases that are very interesting for this tool. Okay, let's see if I have. Okay, Micah. Okay, Micah is asking what are the variables reported in a single value data point. So the single value data point can host just, as the name says, just one parameter. And depending on the kind of meter that you're using, they can be there are different variables that can be expected. So when we are mentioning single value data point, not only we can refer to electricity meters, but also, for example, to water meters. So in this case, the variable can be the amount of square meter, cubic meter that are flowing through a pipe, for example, or the cubic meter of consumption when inspecting a gas meter, or kVH for kilowatt hour of energy consumption for electricity meter, or again for gas meter. So every time that you are pushing data in and with just one parameters, that is considered as a single value data point. And apart from KPI, so it's supposed to be built. Actually, also the degree days are considered as a single value data points. So it basically means that you are just providing one information per point. So I hope I answered your question in this case. I see I have other questions. Okay. Okay, so David is asking if we can set individual costs for the meters in the energy bill. Yeah, that's feasible. Here, you just have to put those meters into two different sections. So basically, you can relate the information here to two different prices, and you can put them in different sections, so that once you calculate, once you create a section, all the prices related to the item in that given session will make up the total that you see up here as a total of the section. If you put different entries into two different sections, of course, the price that will be generated on top will be the one that groups all the items in that section. You can also choose to put a negative price. I forgot to mention before. Here you just have to put a minus before the price, and in this case, the amount, as you can see, the total that will be calculated in the end will take into account of the negative entry, and will decrease the amount instead of adding them on top of each other. Last question, and then I'll have to close the webinar. I'm sorry. Can layout be changed to follow brand labeling guidelines? Yeah, I mean, if you are mentioning this, if you're referring to the utility bill, this is just a sample that that we added in the report in the report generator tab. So all of these, well, actually, all the admin tab is unbranded because there is no need actually to brand a page that just our partner can see and that cannot provide to third users. And so all the PDFs that you will be able to download here to preview the page of the report generator will be branded WATX. But actually, once you go for the full branding, well, we will put a default header and footer to your a default header to your automatic reports, and you will be able to customize header and footer from here. So yeah, basically there is you have the chance to customize it to make it look better and to make it more similar to the look and feel that is in your dashboard. Okay, so I think that's it for this week. I hope that you enjoyed this webinar, that you learned something that may be useful for you to be more efficient, to save some time, or to run further analysis in your dashboard. For whatever doubts you may have, feel free to email me. I will be happy to help. And at this point, the only thing left to say is see you next week. Bye bye. Thanks a lot for coming.